70-year-old Marcus Washington suddenly began trembling in the crowded mall, sweat beading on his forehead. The blaring Christmas music had triggered his Vietnam War PTSD. He gripped his shopping cart tightly, fighting to stay present. The Westfield Mall buzzed with weekend shoppers hunting for Christmas gifts. Holiday decorations hung from every corner, and seasonal music blasted through speakers. Children darted between displays, while parents juggled shopping bags. Amidst the chaos, Marcus moved slowly, his weathered hands pushing a shopping cart. He wore a clean but faded button-up shirt, pressed khaki pants, and a worn Vietnam veteran cap with dull pins. At 70, his once imposing frame had shrunk, making him nearly invisible to the rushed shoppers. His dark skin had lightened in patches with age, and deep lines mapped decades of experiences across his face. Marcus had served with the 5th Special Forces Group in Vietnam, one of the few black soldiers in his elite unit. They called themselves Silent Warriors, operating in dangerous territory where few Americans ventured. When he returned home in 1972, there were no parades, only cold stares and closed doors. 50 years later, the memories still haunted him. He visited the VA hospital twice monthly, where younger doctors with kind eyes prescribed medications for the PTSD that had shadowed him for decades. Today was supposed to be a good day. He'd come by a birthday gift for his grandson Jason, who was turning 12 next week. The boy loved military history, ironically unaware of his grandfather's decorated past. Marcus maintained a careful routine to manage his symptoms, regulated breathing, grounding techniques, and avoiding crowded places when possible. But Christmas shopping couldn't wait, and he'd promised Jason something special from a new electronics store. The crash came without warning. A teenager knocked over a metal display stand, sending it clattering across the tile floor with a sound like mortar fire. Marcus froze mid-step, his heart hammering against his ribs. Suddenly, he wasn't a mall in 2023, but back in the jungle in 1970, the air thick with danger. His hands began to tremble first, then his shoulders. Sweat soaked through his shirt despite the mall's air conditioning. His breathing became shallow and quick. The Christmas music warped into helicopter blades. "Not now," he whispered, searching for a quiet corner. He spotted a bench near a service corridor and made his way there, keeping his eyes on the floor tiles, counting them. 1, 2, 3, the way his VA therapist had taught him. Find something concrete. Stay in the present. He sat down heavily, closed his eyes, and began the breathing exercises that sometimes helped. "Sir? Sir, is there a problem here?" The voice cut through Marcus's concentration. A security guard loomed over him. Young, maybe 25, with a fresh haircut and a crisp uniform that had never seen real action. His name tag read Ryan. The guard's hand rested casually on his belt, near his radio. "I'm fine," Marcus managed, his voice unsteady. "Just need a minute." Ryan's eyes narrowed, scanning the old man. "You can't just sit here acting strange. You're making people uncomfortable." Marcus noticed the guard's stance. Weight shifted back, one hand near his radio, expression a mixture of suspicion and dismissal. He'd seen that look countless times over the decades. "I'm a veteran," Marcus explained, pointing to his cap. "Just having a moment. It'll pass." Ryan snorted, lifting his radio. "Base, I've got an elderly black male by the East Corridor, behaving erratically, possibly intoxicated or mentally disturbed." The radio crackled. "Need backup?" Marcus shook his head, humiliation burning alongside the panic. "I'm not drunk. It's PTSD from Vietnam." "Vietnam?" Ryan smirked, eyebrows raised in exaggerated disbelief. "Sure, Grandpa. And I'm Captain America. Let's move you along before you scare the customers." "Please," Marcus said, struggling to control his breathing as curious shoppers began to stare. "I just need 5 minutes. My grandson is waiting for his gift." 5 minutes to do what? Have another episode. Ryan's voice grew louder, drawing more attention. A woman pulled her children closer as she hurried past. "I serve my country," Marcus said quietly, dignity fighting through his symptoms. 3 tours in Vietnam. Special Forces. Ryan laughed, The sound sharp and disrespectful. Right. And I'm Navy SEAL Team 6. He turned to a passing colleague. This old guy claims he's some kind of war hero. Says that's why he's shaking like a leaf. The second guard, older and wearing a supervisor badge, looked uncomfortable but didn't intervene. A small crowd had gathered, some pointing phones in their direction. Sir, if you can't compose yourself, we'll have to escort you out, Ryan continued. We can't have you disrupting holiday shopping. Marcus felt the familiar double burden. The physical assault of his PTSD and the public humiliation of having his service questioned. It was 1,972 all over again, returning home to people who either feared or dismissed him, unable to see past his color to the soldier underneath. The trembling in Marcus's hands intensified, but years of military discipline kept him from responding with anger. He'd face worse, much worse, than an ignorant young man with a power trip. Still, the public shaming stung deeply. I'm trying to control it, he said, his voice firm despite his shaking. Would help if you stopped making a scene. A few onlookers exchanged glances, some recording with their phones, others averting their eyes from what they perceived as an uncomfortable confrontation with a disturbed old man. Marcus reached inside his shirt collar, fingers finding the small silver star pin he wore beneath his clothes, a private reminder of public service long forgotten. The cool metal centered him slightly. He'd earned that star pulling 3 men from a burning helicopter while under enemy fire. He didn't need to prove himself to this boy. As the security supervisor approached, Marcus's attention suddenly shifted. Decades of combat had honed instincts that age couldn't dull. 3 stores down, a man in a heavy coat despite the heated mall was moving oddly, scanning exits, checking his watch, adjusting a bulky backpack. His movements had the tight precision of someone executing a plan. The hair on Marcus's neck stood up. The man's eyes darted nervously, his hand repeatedly touching his bag. Something was wrong. The argument with security faded to background noise as Marcus's training kicked in. He recognized threat patterns when he saw them. A woman's scream cut through the holiday music. The man Marcus had been watching pulled something from his jacket, the unmistakable shape of a handgun. Chaos erupted instantly. Shoppers scattered, knocking over displays and dropping packages. Children cried out for parents. Ryan, the security guard, froze, his face draining of color as he stared at the armed man, now shouting demands. The supervisor reached for his radio with trembling fingers, backing away. Strangely, as real danger replaced perceived threat, Marcus's PTSD symptoms vanished. His hand steadied. His breathing slowed. The jungle flashbacks receded as present danger demanded full attention. 50 years melted away as training took over. The armed man fired a shot into the ceiling, sending plaster raining down and amplifying the panic. Everyone down, wallets and phones in the center. Many people dropped to the floor. Others ran blindly. Some huddled behind thin display cases, offering no real protection. Marcus remained perfectly still, assessing rather than reacting. His eyes methodically scanned the environment. Distance to the threat, approximately 15 meters. Number of visible weapons, 1 handgun. Potential casualties, dozens, including children behind the gunman. Available cover, minimal. And exits, blocked by panicking crowds. The young security guard were out of their depth. Ryan had pulled his baton but looked terrified, clearly untrained for armed confrontation. Nearby, a mother desperately tried to quiet her crying toddler, while an elderly couple had fallen in the rush. Unable to get back up, Marcus felt a familiar calm settle over him. The combat clarity that had kept him alive in Vietnam's jungle. Age had slowed his body, but his mind processed a tactical situation with veteran precision. He noted the gunman's nervous finger placement, stance, and attention patterns. Without conscious decision, Marcus rose from the bench. His arthritis vanished. His back straightened. His eyes, moments ago clouded with trauma, now showed the laser focus of a soldier moving with purpose. Marcus moved with shocking speed for his age, using the chaos as cover. While the gunman focused on gathering valuables from terrified shoppers, the old veteran circled behind a display. He caught the eye of a young mother and placed a finger to his lips. She nodded, clutching her child closer. When the gunman turned toward the frightened elderly couple on the floor, Marcus acted. He closed the distance in 3 swift steps, his movement economical and precise. Before anyone registered what was happening, Marcus had grabbed the gunman's wrist with one hand, while simultaneously applying targeted pressure to key nerve points with the other. The gun clattered to the floor as the much younger man gasped in pain. With a technique perfected in combat decades ago, Marcus used the assailant's momentum to bring him down, pinning him with minimal force but maximum efficiency. "Stay down, son," Marcus said quietly, his voice steady. "It's over." With the threat neutralized, Marcus immediately took charge of the chaotic scene. He secured the weapon first, safely ejecting the magazine and clearing the chamber with practiced hands. "You young man," he called to Ryan, who stood frozen in shock. "Call for police and medical backup. Tell them we have the situation contained but need assistance for shock victims." The security guard blinked, then scrambled for his radio. Marcus turned to the gathered crowd. "Everyone stay calm. Danger's past." His voice carried the natural authority of command. "Those with medical training, please help the elderly couple over there. Everyone else, move calmly toward the north exit." People responded instinctively to his confidence. A woman identified herself as a nurse and rushed to help the fallen couple. Parents gathered frightened children. Marcus knelt beside a teenage girl hyperventilating against a wall. "Focus on my voice," he told her gently. "Breathe with me. In through your nose, count to 4. Hold, out through your mouth." When a young man with a bloody arm from falling on broken glass approached, Marcus quickly fashioned a pressure bandage from a clean handkerchief, his movements revealing clear field medicine training. "You'll be fine," he assured the young man. "Keep pressure on it until paramedics arrive." Police officers arrived minutes later, weapons drawn until they assessed the scene. The lead officer, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, did a double take when he spotted Marcus. "Master Sergeant Washington?" he asked incredulously. Marcus nodded once, still monitoring the restrained assailant. The officer holstered his weapon and approached with visible respect. "It's an honor, sir. My father served with you in Quang Tri." As officers secured the gunman, the lead officer turned to his colleagues. "This man is Marcus Washington, 5th Special Forces Group. Silver Star, Bronze Star with Valor, 3 Purple Hearts." He shook his head in amazement. "Sir, we've been trying to get you to speak at our veterans program for years." Ryan, the security guard, stood nearby, his mouth slightly open as the officer continued. "After Vietnam, he helped establish the county's Veteran Crisis Center. Trained our department on PTSD response protocols back in the 90s. One of the most decorated soldiers from this state." Ryan's face flushed deep red as understanding dawned. He watched as officers treated Marcus with unmistakable respect, several stopping to shake his hand. The supervisor who had failed to intervene earlier now couldn't meet anyone's eyes. When the immediate crisis had passed, Ryan approached Marcus hesitantly. "Sir, I didn't know." Marcus regarded him evenly. "Most don't. That's not why I served." "But I was completely—" Ryan swallowed hard. "I thought you were just—" "An old black man causing trouble?" Marcus finished, his voice matter-of-fact rather than accusatory. Ryan winced, shame evident in his posture. "I saw the shaking and just assumed." "That's the problem with assumptions," Marcus said. "The man who looks weakest might be the strongest when it matters. The one you dismiss might be the one who saves you." The young guard's eyes glistened. "I've never been so wrong about anyone in my life." As paramedics treated minor injuries, the story of what happened spread throughout the mall. Shoppers approached Marcus cautiously, offering thanks. A teenage boy asked to shake his hand. "My grandpa was in Vietnam, too," the boy said. "He doesn't talk about it." "Many of us don't," Marcus replied gently. Phones had captured everything. The security guard's mockery, Marcus's response to the crisis, his expert handling of the aftermath. Social media buzzed with clips already gaining thousands of shares. Comments poured in. "Watch how they treated this black veteran before they knew who he was. This is what a real hero looks like. From being harassed to saving lives in minutes." A local news reporter arrived, attempting to interview Marcus, who politely declined the spotlight. Just did what needed doing, he told her. Like many others did years ago. Some never made it home to tell about it. As the crowd dispersed and normalcy slowly returned, Ryan approached Marcus again, this time alongside his supervisor. "Sir, I want to formally apologize," Ryan said, standing straighter than before. "I was ignorant and disrespectful." Marcus studied the young man. Apology accepted. But it's not just me who deserves better. Many veterans walk around with invisible wounds. You never know what battle someone's fighting. Ryan nodded solemnly. "I'd like to learn, if you're willing to teach. About PTSD, about what to look for, how to help instead of harm." "That," Marcus said with the first hint of a smile, "is how change happens." The following week, Marcus's story appeared in the local paper. The mall announced new training for all security personnel on recognizing and assisting veterans in distress. The county VA office reported increased calls offering support and donations. Marcus received numerous interview requests, which he declined, except for one, a podcast about Black veterans' experiences, where he spoke candidly about serving a country that often failed to serve him in return. The security company invited him to lead a training session, where Ryan introduced him with evident respect. "This man taught me that courage doesn't expire with age, and that respect should never be contingent on knowing someone's story." A month later, Marcus sat in a circle at the VA hospital, not as a patient, but as a mentor. 5 younger veterans, 2 from Iraq, 3 from Afghanistan, leaned forward to listen. "The uniform comes off," he told them, "but the soldier remains. What we learned out there, discipline, courage, looking out for others, that's ours to keep and share." A young Black veteran with a prosthetic leg nodded. "They still don't see us sometimes." Marcus placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Then we show them, not with words, but with how we live. That's always been our way." Like Marcus, many veterans walk among us unrecognized, carrying invisible wounds and untold stories of courage. Have you ever misjudged someone before knowing their full story? Share your thoughts below. And if you know a veteran, thank them today. Your support makes a difference in their healing journey. Subscribe for more stories that change how we see each other.